Так, дождитесь суда 8:00, 10:00 следующего дня. Так, заберем достижения. Так, теперь смотрим наши камни. Ну, не хватает. Так, сейчас время 8:00. Вот так. Немного опоздаем, да? Ну что, суд будет здесь проходить, что ли? Ну, вообще они интересные люди. Ну ладно. И это все? А нет, там еще сидят.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be. Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about. Thanks, Navia. Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be No, we're already very grateful that. Well, now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that your
Вот это
investigation
подозрительная
came up
особа.
empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed.
Since both parties are present, firstly, in order for the...
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands.
Yes, that's...
In that case, I call upon the prosecutor...
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean... Well then, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my Tell me, aren't you and Lynette at the House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatoui's doing.
I've got a feeling that what happened...
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us your first priority is
Так,
to
они
prove
что,
yourself
потом
innocent
что?
after all. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night. Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell...
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has raised first. When the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary?
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is the—
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler.
Yeah. Paimon doesn't know where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or—
I'm very sorry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just here, but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very—
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same— I knew if it weren't for our respective identity, that's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you. But the truth is very important, but being right. So, you be the judge. You met a Fatus who works as a— but still, I'm asking you to—
Sorry.
Well, you both say that, but right. Let's hear your answer first, and no—
Of course. I'll answer any— We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. During our investigations, we learned from that moment on, Lynette and I—
Is that why you needed a whole—
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the— That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about—
That's the only way we can save—
So, there you have it. It was never my wish to— But, like I said earlier, you can—
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that if we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusation— Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she can—
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linny's perspective.
Countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase at this time. So Linny proceeded to knock him out too before afterward. Linny passed the unconscious Halsey to... And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's...
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linny experienced, and...
I did it!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What?
Oh, they have a...
That's right, you tell him! And that's... Oh, well, your denial is... Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time... You're saying that he wasn't?
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? Huh? That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had already entered the basement. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like...
Well played. To think you'd use such well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
famous tower, Winnie's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along? Could there have been a third person involved? Halsey is the missing person and the deceased's name is Tower. What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Tower did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances, so where would the criminal have wanted? The deceased's name is Tower, Winnie's assistant. He would have been able. Winnie was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Winnie as well. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would. The deceased's name is Tower. No one entered or left the opera house. The sound we heard may have come from a. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some. It would have been tough for both. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. The deceased's name is Tower, Winnie's assistant. No one entered or left the opera house through its. No one entered or left the opera house. No one entered or left. The sound we heard may have come. Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider it just like the trick as it transpired? The end result must have been utterly different from the magicians if only we knew how Halsey disappeared. If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial. Winnie was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey. The deceased's name is Towel, Winnie's assistant. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared and Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic... Must we really? I should think that of magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very...
Even so, I trust the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reason. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his...
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at it. Guards, please step into the...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontейне. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as such. We believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water,
Does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowl was targeting... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot... Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. Thank you. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected to...
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that...
The water from the primordial... Now it seems like the hook rope was... The deceased's name is Cowell. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have... I remember, there was something else within the inner... Lynette was in the magic box. The water from the primordial sea. The rope that held the water tank up was... The deceased's name is Cowell.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowell would... When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal... When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would... Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase, but he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use.
Huh. That does...
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of it.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused?
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstance. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be.
Does this not clear all? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reason. Linny did not need, having made modifications that upon his... Ultimately, he not now as much... Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen?
I think we've all seen enough now. And we have ample witnesses to my flawless. I believe this is indeed... Now then, my good.
Excuse me, everyone.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that... What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are
Come on now, don't be silly. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to... And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to... Come on, Linny and Lynette. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about people
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then, before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so that's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story.
The strange... The flower... Lillian was afraid...
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
At this point, all the events that happened
Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina.
What? Are you reading my... No, I have no further argument.
Wow! Look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontейне, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, with some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen to cover up any evidence while committing the deed. Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontейне and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent. While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have...
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Linny.
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill. As for why that was how Father, who you might know as
The knave? The one one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering. Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left to survive. I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility?
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful... But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after... He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circle.
That doesn't seem too bad either.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he would... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood. And the nave.
So, she'd already taken care...
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans. Father, I mean, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis's power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. We won't give up on defending our homeland. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family...
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
It's all right. I understand. The only thing I can do... I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to...